Okay, hello everybody. I'm so
Hello.
I'm so sorry in advance if my audio is weird because I have this mic that I'm not used to using and I feel like I have to put it to my face.
So, how did your mic break?
There's a USB that goes from the computer into the microphone
Yeah.
and I was moving it like trying to put it close to my face and the micro USB broke off and is stuck in the microphone.
What?
Yeah.
So, do you have to
And
take that in?
well, yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
mic was like $300.
Shit.
Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure I can get it out. I just need like tweezers, but I haven't even had the opportunity to look at it. I just took it off and then I stole this is Dylan's mic from his gaming.
It works.
Yeah, so thanks Dill for letting me well, he doesn't know I'm using it, but I'm fucking using it.
Oh my God.
How
Wait, melt your
what?
background. Your
Oh yeah, I
DIY
painted.
project.
And then I wore a shirt that matches it today. Not on purpose, it just happened.
It looks good.
Why are you frozen?
Am I frozen? Oh no.
Okay, now you're not frozen.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
No, it looks good.
Yeah.
Is it like a green?
Yeah, I think it's like a dark teal.
I like it.
Yeah, it's nice.
It
It's
brightens it
not
up.
it's not perfect, but I'm not a professional painter, so what do you expect,
Yeah.
Ian came home today or he had a physio appointment and he's like, I have a present for you. And he pulls out this mini roller. I'm like, what's that for? He's like, to fix all the parts that I'm like,
No.
oh, you're a dick. But
Wait, like a
thank
mini
you.
paint roller. A mini
Yeah,
paint
because
roller.
you can see the brush strokes in some places. So he's like, no, you need to roll the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll roll the pieces that you don't like. But he's such a perfectionist when it comes to painting, and I'm
You're like,
so not.
yeah.
How are you? How was your workout?
It was good. It was fast. I'm trying to shorten my workouts. I don't want to be in the gym for even an hour and a half. I'm like, it's too much.
Yeah, but an hour and a half is too long.
It's way too long. But I feel like that's usually what my leg workouts were. I feel like I can keep going. So I'm trying to stop myself from just jacking up my cortisol and I'm like, okay, no. We don't
Well,
need to keep.
what's the goal right now?
I'm just training for life, Bill. There's really no set concrete goal.
So you just want to maintain.
Yeah, just maintain, maybe a little more muscle. I'm just kind of just doing it to feel mentally good, honestly.
I feel like you don't really like goals in the gym.
I don't know. I'm not one who's I'm training for strength and then I want to train for, and I respect that, the people that do. I want to train for strength, or I want to train to put on muscle or lose whatever muscle or gain, or I don't know. I'm just kind of I just want to go in and feel good, get a good sweat.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I feel like I always need to be working towards something, or else I'm not I'm so blah in there. I will wander around aimlessly. You know what I mean?
I do feel better on a structure, a program or some type of split, when I know what I'm training. But as far as working to overall, I guess overall body composition, yeah, I would like to tighten up a little, but it's not this huge goal that I'm it needs to happen. I feel pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, you're in
Yeah.
maintenance right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean,
yeah.
if that's your goal, then I would say if you want to train for an hour and a half, then train for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really matter at that point.
But then sometimes after my workouts, I feel really fatigued. I overdid it.
Yeah, it's probably your nutrition, in relation to the amount of training you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got to get it balanced. So I'm just trying to stop it and see what happens. I was listening, we love Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's
amazing.
He's so good. He is all about, scientific research. And he says even over 50 minutes, which I get can be unrealistic for someone like Christopher or Ian, where they're lifting really, really heavy and they take long breaks. And maybe their training is over that hour threshold. He's it kind of becomes, I don't want to say the word pointless, but he's like, it becomes kind of not really helpful for the body, because then you just start producing a lot of cortisol if you're training over that like 60-minute mark.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, everyone's different.
Everyone is different, and like your body doesn't have like a timer in it that like 60 minutes it like goes off and it's like you know. But that's why I was asking. I was like, okay, well, what's your goal? Because if it's just maintaining, then at that point, who cares? If you're trying to put on muscle, I would say like with the amount of food you eat, doing a high volume training session that's 90 minutes long isn't going to help you gain muscle. You know what I mean?
No.
But for me, if I'm like trying to burn muscle, then I would like train myself into the ground, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Circuits. How's your training? Good?
I actually stopped resistance training at all.
What? No weights?
Nothing. Like not even circuits. Not even like body weight lunges.
Explain.
I was talking to Iain about it because I was like, I still feel like heavy, you know? Like I still feel inflamed. I still feel like stiff, like all these things. And especially like I was doing lower body circuits only, and I was doing that 3 or 4 times a week, depending on how I felt. And my quads were just like constantly feeling like they were huge and pumped. Yeah. And he was like, listen, like if you're actually serious about burning muscle, and I know how your body responds, you probably shouldn't do a single bit of resistance training. He's like, you're going to need to be really patient and like get down to the weight that you want or the body that you want, and then slowly start to incorporate weight training again. He's like, but like, I don't think your body is going to like do what you want it to do if you're touching weights. And I was doing circuits, but I was like still doing like a 45 on each side for my hip thrusts. Like that's
yeah, you said that.
It's not like I'm like doing Pilates or something. Like I'm still like, you know,
doing moving weight.
Yeah. So I stopped, and I honestly feel like physically better. Mentally, I miss it. Like mentally, I'm like, oh my God, like I want to suffer a little bit. And I honestly might start running. I haven't decided yet. But like physically, I feel like a lot, I don't know, looser and like lighter and just like healthier.
Yeah. That's good, Mel. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's going towards your goal, which is like you want to burn some muscle. Mm-hmm. You know, are you doing like walks or Peloton or anything?
Well, I don't have a Peloton here.
Oh yeah, Christopher stole it. It's here.
Well, he stole the Florida one, and I actually gave my Ottawa one to my mother-in-law. I'm just walking.
Yeah.
Walking for like an hour to an hour and a half a day.
That's amazing. And your walk is like a slow jog. Mel is like a 4.3 on the treadmill. Like she can book ass. And I'm just like, oh, damn. And I have long legs too, like you. But you're fly.
You're on like a 7 incline, and I'm on like a 2. You know, it's very different.
No, but you fly. Well, that's good.
Yeah, but I'm like considering, now that it's nice out, I'm considering like starting to like run. But I was jogging the other day out of the grocery store because we forgot the reusable bags in the truck. So I'm like jogging to get them, and then I'm jogging back to Iain, and he was like, your quads are way too big for you to run. Like you look like you're just like quads are like striated as you're like, and I'm like, I actually hate you. Like you should be telling me how small and skinny I look, because that's what I want.
Damn you, Iain.
He thinks he's giving me a compliment.
Yeah, but Mel, that's a fast way to shred some muscle, running.
I know. I'm just scared of like the shin splints and the joints and like all that kind of stuff, which I know that like your body will get used to it. It's like when I first started Pelotoning, I swear I couldn't like walk the next day because my vagina was like bruised, and your body gets used to it. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to start like running on pavement outside. Like it's going to affect my like, you know, knees, my shins, probably my hips, like all that kind of stuff. But we'll see. Yeah. I had the craziest weekend.
What happened?
I'll tell you about it off air because it's like you're gonna die. I'm not
The
even
people
joking.
are gonna be so sad that you're not gonna share with them.
I will eventually, but it's
Okay,
like
okay.
too soon. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm like,
But
oh my God.
it
What is
honest
it?
it's led me to like have like some like fun conversations with Iain and like think about certain things in terms of like monogamy and relationships and stuff like that.
What?
I know this is so mean, and I don't mean to like, you know, dangle the carrot and not tell the story, but
Yeah.
I kind of today want to like use that what naturally happened to me on the weekend and the conversations that it brought up with Iain to like do like kind of like I was texting you about like a relationship Q&A type discussion,
Yeah.
because I feel like, I mean, we have lots of questions. A lot of people, when they ask questions to us, I think want to know about, you know, what you do after a toxic relationship, or how you deal with being married to a bodybuilder, or all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'll talk about that. But first, I want to so I had an interesting weekend, and it kind of brought up a conversation with Iain about um like monogamy and like what would be considered cheating, basically.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
And I feel like this is the older I get, especially. We're 32 now. And the more couples we meet and the more people we meet, that definition is like, actually, I don't know, is the definition of monogamy like only being with one person?
I was just going to ask you that. Let me Google.
Yeah, we need to Google it, because I'm not sure if it's, I was about to say like everyone defines monogamy differently,
Yeah.
but maybe there's actually just like one definition of monogamy, you know what I mean?
The practice or state of being married to one person at a time.
Okay.
So only one, yeah, the habit of having only one mate at a time. That's monogamy.
Okay, so like what we as a society traditionally think of as a marriage would be monogamy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like you're married to one person and you're faithful to them, and that's the only person that you're whatever intimate with, whatever your definition is.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I'm going to ask you.
And wait, let me just preface this with, you guys, I have no idea what the fuck she's about to ask me. We didn't even, this whole episode was supposed to be a Mel interview, and Mel's like, I'm over talking about me. We'll just talk about
I'm tired of myself already.
And I'm like, okay, so I don't even know what this is about. It's relationships, but we're just going to roll with it.
You also do not have to answer anything. Like if I ask you something and you're like, who cares? You can either lie or like not answer.
No. I'll be truthful, or I just won't answer.
Yeah. If you were to like go out with your friends and like have a girls' night, and you and a girl ended up making out,
okay,
would you consider that cheating on like you cheating on Christopher?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, I would. Even if it was like, we're drunk, whatever, like, you know, high school, like whatever. People did that in like just, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would. Yeah.
Do you think he would consider it cheating?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
So you think if you came home and you were like, oh, I got a little like silly and I did something, he would be pissed.
Yeah, like a whole blown makeout, like a little like girl peck, or like I love you, whatever. Like, okay, that's one thing, but like, yeah, okay, no, this is what was happening this weekend.
I can't say, but I got home, and I'm the same as you. Okay.
Yeah.
If I make out with somebody, man or woman, and my husband's not there, or I mean, Or if we hadn't like discussed it prior, which obviously you never would, but I knew in my mind, I knew in my heart that I would consider that cheating, but I also knew in my heart that my husband wouldn't. So I knew like if I did something like that and I came home, as long as I told him, if I tried to hide it, he'd probably be like, what the hell? Like, that's weird. But if I came home and I'm like, oh, like something happened and I ended up making out with so-and-so, he would be like, oh, cool. Like, good for you, you know?
But hold on. If you said that and it was about a girl, he would be like, oh, whatever. But a man, he would say, oh
no.
Yes. So this is where, he would not be okay with Melissa just like going off and making out with a guy and being like, hi, I'm sorry, babe. Like, whoopsie.
But this is what we kind of started debating, because I was just like, well, why is it different? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, if I meet up with a dude, like, but then he was like, you can't even have the conversation because it's not the same. Like, men don't do that, whereas girls do, I guess. Or some do. I don't know. But I just found it so interesting. And I was like, I mean, from what it sounded like when me and him were talking about it, even if it was more than just kissing, like if I actually hooked up with another girl,
he wouldn't care.
He says he would be kind of like, oh, that's weird and it seems out of character for you. Mm-hmm. And he would ask questions, but he doesn't think that he would be
like
upset.
Divorce you. Or like, this is over.
Or have an argument. But then I got mad at, but then I obviously got mad at him.
Because you're like, you're supposed to care. Yeah, literally.
Well, I'm like, all the crazy things that you start to think as a girl. I'm like, well, that's just because you're a disgusting pig and you want to have a threesome or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not interested in that. I just actually like wouldn't feel like insecure or like threatened by that. Whereas if it was a man, I would for sure be insecure and threatened and I would be upset. And I'm like, well, that's honest.
That is honest, yeah.
But I found it so interesting. So I've been like asking everybody that I talk to, and from everyone that I've spoken to, the women are like, well, I wouldn't do it anyways. And the men have kind of been like, well, I wouldn't really care if it happened.
I feel like your brother would care. What do you think? He would, right?
Well, listen, Iain said the same thing. He's like, it's kind of tricky because I know you as a person, and like, as funny as you are and as open as you are, you're a extremely, extremely faithful, like loyal, monogamous person.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for him to even answer that. And I think Christopher would be the same. Because like if you did something like that, he would be like, but it's not you. He would be more like
character.
Yeah, he would be more confused, and probably that would create some sort of like angst.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. 100%. Which is,
I just thought it was wild, and I'll tell you the full story after, but it was life is weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like, life is weird, and there's so many different kinds of people and different like relationships that exist in the world, and I find it so fascinating.
Yeah, no. And you know what? There's a lot of people who are totally okay.
And they're open.
And and they're open. Yeah. And like, hey, whatever suits you, whatever you want to do, you know, just for me personally, I would not. No. You know me. No.
Courtney doesn't even like to really talk about sex, so I just like to make her a little bit uncomfortable sometimes.
She always does this to me. No, but listen, I just can't. No. No.
Okay. Let's get into some questions that we got from only women. I didn't have any from men.
Really? That's okay.
Yeah, but it's interesting because when I'm like doing this normally, actually, no, that's not true. If I'm with Iain, I'll get some, but
I get some guys, but it's usually asking for advice about relationships.
Yeah.
Do you too? Yeah.
Okay, so how do you deal with your significant other being in the spotlight?
Are you asking me? Am I going first? Do you want to answer first?
Yeah, if you're ready. I
Um,
didn't read these ahead of time, by the way, so I'm not like, oh, I'm prepped and you're not. Like,
yeah,
I
no,
don't.
it's okay. It's all good, love. Yeah. I don't really, I don't, I don't really feel anything towards it. I don't know. I'm just kind of, I don't want to say I'm used to it, but I think I got with Christopher before he was like, ultra super, everyone loves him, like celebrity status. So I kind of like grew with him as he was growing. So it's not this like weird shock for me, if that makes sense. I'm just like, oh, like this is just a part of like what you do in your life. Like it's not really hard. But I will say this. I will say this. Social media, okay, let me rewind. I definitely have trust issues that I'm working through with men. And it's stemming from my childhood, 1,000%. Like, not getting into it, but my parents got divorced, whatever, dad left for someone else, whole thing. I have these like really deep, trustworthy wounds that I'm working through. So Christopher's never done anything to break my trust on social media or like do anything that is like sketchy or like questionable, but I still have moments of sometimes feeling like perfect example yesterday. He posted a photo on his story and it was like for Snapchat. Like, oh, hey, like I'm on Snapchat. And it was like he was like shirtless. It was like a black and white photo and he put like follow me on Snap over his like chest and abs. And I remember Snapchat as like a very like I used it like 7 years ago, like secretive, things disappear, like sketchy little platform. And I know Snapchat's making a comeback and you can make money on Snapchat and all the things, but I kind of got like a little bit like insecure. I did. This was literally yesterday. I'm like, "Oh, you're on Snapchat now?" Like I'm saying it in a way that's like I need reassurance, which he did. He's like I can read it. It was like nothing. It was just like, hey, yeah, I'm using this. Like nothing is going on. Like I want to reassure you that it's literally just like another platform I'm trying to utilize and whatever, whatever. And I was like, okay. But it's back to the question of how do you feel like with your partner being in the spotlight? I don't want to create stories in my head. So I think I'm trying to do a better job of just like asking, like if I'm feeling something, like the whole Snapchat thing, like being a little bit more direct and like, hey, like, or just even being more direct and saying, hey, like this is kind of making me feel a little bit of a type of way. Like, can you, I don't know, can you enlighten me or like reassure me a bit? So,
do you think if you didn't have your like issues from your childhood with like your whatever relationships with men or trust with men, do you think that it would be the same?
I don't know. I can't like really speak on it because I just don't know. I wasn't like I would like to think like, oh, it would be different, but I mean, I've had like
I
patterns,
I think it would be I think it would be the same.
You do. If I grew up differently.
I I think I think there's a point in anyone's relationship that if someone is like super big and super like sought after, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That you're going to have a little bit of insecurity, you know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah. No, I'm totally not saying I would be completely like insecure free,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I would have mm, a better foundation of trust where I think just from like previous relationships and like
Mm-hmm.
my parents,
Yeah.
trust to me is like you can't trust. You don't know, which is, again, something I'm working on. But yeah, you're probably right. I think anyone who's like in the public eyes, especially as much as he is, it's like it can make people like just question a little bit. And that's why I've like leaned into you before, like with certain things. And Melissa, I don't know. Melissa just like, look, girl, if it's gonna fucking happen, he's gonna do something. He's gonna do something. You know, you just really can't stress it. I'm like, oh my God, I need more of that.
It's so funny because when I first started dating Iain, I had just come out of like oh my God, like
yeah,
such a stupid relationship. You know what I mean? Like we both cheated on each other. Like he lied so much, and then we broke up, and I would take him back, and I just loved him so much, and he just constantly lied to me.
mm-hmm.
And I remember Iain asking me like, how are you like not crazy, you know, like you you don't really care where I am, you don't go through my phone, you don't. And I honestly, like, I just, at one point in my early 20s, I was like, if someone's going to cheat on me, I'm eventually going to find out, and it's like me looking constantly isn't going to stop it from happening.
Yeah.
So like why not just like try to live in peace?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with this, like how I would answer this question. It's like, listen, sometimes it's hard when your partner's in the spotlight, especially when you don't feel like great about yourself, because you don't want to be put in the spotlight, or you might be worried about what else is out there for them. But if your partner is someone who's going to do something unfaithful or lie to you, they're going to do it whether they're famous or whether they're not.
1,000% agree. Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm in the spotlight and I have attention, so now I'm going to become a cheating bastard. No, you are or you aren't.
Yes.
And I trust in my ability to pick a husband, and I know that I chose someone that's faithful, and that's like all it is, you know?
Yeah. No, I respect that.
And you, I believe that you think that too.
I do. Totally.
I just think you're healing your like past issues for you to actually like believe it.
Yeah. And that's like literally what I'm like, we're working on like right now. Even like with our therapist, a lot of it is like these tendencies of attachment that happen that are kind of developed in childhood. Like if someone's like more anxiously attached or avoidantly attached or a secure attached person, but leans maybe more one way. And Christopher's definitely more avoidantly attached, leans secure, and I'm definitely anxiously attached.
Why don't you like define avoidantly attached and anxiously attached for us? I'm sure securely attached we can all, or you can define that too. I feel like you're like learning a lot about that right now.
Yeah. So. Oh gosh, I don't want to like totally, you know,
okay, everybody, this. She's not a fucking therapist, so don't eat her alive if she gets something wrong. It's not a big deal. It's okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. There's a book called Attached where you can like go learn all this or listen to it on Audible, but pretty much an anxiously attached person really leans in and is kind of the person who is worried or creates stories or is someone who kind of lives in their head a little bit, who constantly needs their partner to like feel close with them. And avoidantly attached is someone who, and that's a very short definition. Avoidantly attached is someone who kind of, when they feel like they're getting close, they like kind of want to go the other way. Like they're okay with closeness, but they really love their independence. They really love being alone. They love their partner, but you know, they like their alone time, and like feeling close is also kind of like they don't want to feel like they can depend too much on their partner. And then securely attached, which is like the, you know, the one that's the A plus, is someone who is just like secure with their partner, secure with themselves, and can really like they're okay to be like vulnerable and like lean in, because like the pattern that our therapist like kind of talks to us about is like it's kind of like a wave, like anxiously attached, for instance. Like I lean in a lot, right? And then Christopher will like kind of like he'll lean into and like meet me, but then I'm like, oh, like this is, this doesn't feel normal to me, because like normal to me is like this whole like lean in, lean out thing. And I'm probably explaining this a little bit like totally fucked up, so bear with me here. And then like I'll pull away, and then he'll notice that, so he'll try, and it's just like this, it's just this whole like wave of like back and forth, back and forth. And it's really kind of about creating this like secure attachment within yourself and with your partner, but it takes a lot of awareness and a lot of work. So I recommend the book Attached. It will give you like a better explanation kind of like of what you are, but it's interesting. But a lot of it, they say, is modeled from behavior with your parents.
Shocker.
Yeah. Yeah. Childhood.
So much pressure, and we just can blame everything on mom and dad.
I know. Yeah. No.
I'm joking, obviously,
no,
but
so it's just yeah, something we're working through.
Yeah, I didn't know very much about avoidantly attached. Like I've heard anxiously attached, and I've heard secure, but I didn't know about avoidant. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it's hard having those two together.
It's definitely hard.
Because if there's someone that's like anxiously attached and they're looking for a bit of reassurance and love, and then there's a person that's like avoidantly attached, so it's kind of like, oh, like I resent you needing me, so I'm going to pull away because I don't want us to depend on each other too much. And then it's like feeding into the anxiously attached. You know what I mean? That's tricky.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're watching all these like little videos and things on it right now, and it's an interesting process. When we get into it a bit more, I'll like try to give a better explanation of all of this stuff. But
yeah, I love learning about stuff like that. Like I'm just like so fascinated by like basically healing, like, you know, humans like actually being able to understand why they feel the way they feel sometimes, and then being able to kind of like logically work through those feelings. I feel like it's like so cool.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So
have you found it hard carrying your own weight in the relationship, financially, social media, face value, etc.?
I had this thing. Well, first of all, do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
No. I think I had this thing where I was always scared of like getting hurt, or like like these abandonment wounds that I have, right? Not being defined by them, but like something that I'm aware of. So what I would try to do to protect myself was really not be on the same team as Christopher for a minute. Like I would get really bothered that I couldn't contribute as much, or that I didn't have the, maybe as much as of the luxury as like just to plan something and go somewhere and book it, because of his income versus mine. So I would have all of these. It was hard for me for a little bit to not depend as in like, oh, take care of me, but like work together as a team. Like I felt I had kind of a hard time with that. Like I was always like, I just need to be able to do this by myself. And it made him feel really sad. He's like, I view us as like a team, and like we help each other and we work together. And I feel like at moments when you feel insecure, Courtney, you want to separate, and like you need to like have your own box with your own things, and you don't want any help or you don't want to do this together. And I've gotten a lot better with being more of a team and like accepting that. That doesn't mean I don't want, I don't have my own goals and things I want to work towards and whatnot. But that was a bit of a, I don't want to say insecurity of mine, but it was something that I struggled with for sure, that I'm getting better with. What about you, Mel?
It's interesting because I feel like when I was younger, I cared less.
What do you mean cared less? Like you didn't like
I was never like insecure about like depending on Iain or needing Iain or relying on Iain, you know what I mean? I never felt like I had to like you know how it is these days where it's like you be an independent woman, like you
yeah.
need to if you can't take care of yourself without your man, then you're foolish or whatever people say.
Yeah.
I was never like that. I was always like I was just happy with how close we were and that he was successful and he liked taking care of me and I liked taking care of him in different ways
Mm-hmm.
than financial. But I was also like in university, so I don't think I had like the same personal insecurity in terms of being like a successful fully functional adult, whatever that means.
Yeah.
um and like how I grew up, my parents were always like, you know, go to school, get a job, like make your own money. uh and it was always just assumed that that's what I would do because I was a smart, you know, independent young kid. Like that's just always what
Yeah.
was assumed.
Yeah.
So once I graduated university and it kind of started, my life started changing a little bit, I definitely struggled and still struggle with the idea that like my husband kind of supports our family, and
Mm.
it's very hard for me. Like I don't, and it has nothing to do with how close I feel with Iain or me being like scared that if we break up that I'll be screwed. It's actually like it doesn't stem from that at all. It stems from myself and the pressures that I have felt as like a woman growing up in my household and in this society. But I also take extreme pride in like who I am as a wife.
Yeah.
And like I take pride in my home, I take pride in my family, so it's not I'm like working on it, but I think like number one, you always have to be secure in yourself and what you bring to the table, but I also think a lot of that comes from your partner and them showing how much they appreciate you and giving you
Yeah.
validation and like how much you mean to them. And like I get that unconditionally from my husband. Like he tells
Yeah.
me every day he doesn't know what he would do without me, and that like and I say the same to him. So like yeah, obviously it's very important to kind of be secure in yourself and you know what you bring to the table as a human. But sometimes when you're struggling with that, it's important to have a partner that's like shows appreciation with
Yeah.
even without you asking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Totally. No, I
And it's the
completely
same
agree.
thing with you saying like Christopher saying like I want us to be a team. Like part of me like doing this and making this money is because like I want to take care of you. Like this is something that makes me happy. So like
Yeah.
why would we as women like block that? And
I
like
know.
it's like I don't know, I feel like society has just gone like so far the other way and it's like really sad to me.
It's a society thing too. Like 100%. Like yes, Mel makes her own money and I make my own money. It's straight up. Is it as much as Iain and Christopher? No, it's not. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like we're doing our thing and we're like working on projects and I feel like even I've gotten like comments and like on like Q&As and stuff. It's like, so like what do you even do? Are you just like a stay at home? Like what like which at first like it kind of like hurts my ego a little bit. I'm like, oh fuck. Like, you know, but like, yeah, I
Yeah, but
do
like
a lot of shit around the house.
even if I am staying home and taking care of my husband and he's paying the bills, why is that angering you?
I
Like
know.
it's so strange to me.
People get really mad,
Triggered. Yeah.
really triggered. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of comments actually. And I've actually kind of taken them like a little bit personally. And then I'm just kind of like, meh,
No,
reflection of you.
yeah, I feel like the answer to that is like, are you okay? Like do you need help maybe changing your life so you feel happy with it? Like
Yeah.
because that's like I don't know, I just feel like you should live and let live. Just like if you want to be a woman that wants to have your own bank account and make your own money and that makes you feel good and that helps your marriage, then do it. I'm so happy
Yeah.
for you. But
Yeah. I
like
think
that's not
I
my
know.
life, you know?
Yeah, it really like the whole like the pendulum swings the other way. Like it was very like, you know, back in the day, like the the father was this, or the husband, the man was this, and the mom was the nurture. And then it was like, no, like we need like boss bitches, which I respect 1000%. You know, the women got to come into the workforce. Yes, amazing. But now it's like we were talking about motherhood, like kind of on the last episode, like that's a goal for us. And that's not really like a goal that's like, oh, you want to be a mom? Like that's your goal. Like, you know, it's not really like an admirable goal, which is sad because in my eyes it is. But yeah, it makes me like think like people, like if you can do it all, if you and the husband can both, or you and your partner, wife, husband, whatever, can both like work really hard, you know, take care of the house and raise a family and do it all together, and like amazing. If it's more of like, hey, we have our like roles here, then that's also amazing. I just feel like you should do what you want to do, and it shouldn't be this like really like looked down upon thing if like you're not you know, a CEO or making this money like your man, or and if you're watching kids or if you're doing other things for your man, like I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but a bit in our culture, it's kind of like, ooh, wow, that's what you do.
There's also like, we can plan our lives and we can have goals as much as we want, but there's always going to be situations that happen that we can't plan for and that we can't expect. And honestly, a huge thing for me is to bloom where you're planted. So if I got this degree and I wanted to get my master's and become a therapist, and then all of a sudden I have this opportunity that I actually don't have to work and I can just travel and spend so much time with my husband and potentially raise my kids. And I'm just going to say, no, I'm not going to take that opportunity because my goal was this. Like, when that's actually what I want.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just think everyone should really like figure out what your values are and figure out what means the most to you and figure out how in your life and in your situation you can cultivate your environment to be about those things.
Yeah.
And my number one value is always going to be family. Like it's always going to be family. It's family over money. It's family over anything. It's family, and then it's going to be time. So if I can like have free time and freedom and have a family, then like I'm going to do it the best way possible for me, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think one way is a better way, or, you know, it's just like you said, like get your values in order. What do you want? What's aligned for you? What's, you know, what is, what's the word I'm looking for? Like reasonable, like, you know, I know it's not a privilege for everyone to, you know, one stay home, one work, whatever, but just figuring out what works for you, you know, I think that's the most important thing.
Is it hard making a name for yourself separate from your partner and having your own thing?
Do you want to go first?
Listen, I've had this for my entire life. I've either been Ian's girlfriend or wife or Christopher's sister. And I remember being like younger, and I'd be around people and someone would come up and be like, oh, you're Sebum's sister, or oh, you're Iain Valiere's wife. And people that I would smile and I'd be like, yeah. And people that I'm with would be like, she has her own name. And like they would get offended for me. And I kind of like have made it a little joke, you know what I mean? Like I'll like play on it.
Yeah.
But being Christopher's sister and being Ian's wife are two things that I'm like extremely proud of.
Yeah.
So for me to be known by that, it's not offensive. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm a very non-ego driven person, so I don't need people to know my name. People still think that I'm Christopher's wife sometimes. Someone tagged me the other day and said Sebum wife, and I was like, no, you must be new here. But no, I don't. I would like to be more financially secure as an individual, because I honestly like buying people presents and like, you know, I would like to be able to help my parents out, like just little things like that. But that to me has nothing to do with me having my own name for myself or having my own thing. And there's obviously things that I'm passionate about that I want to do, but I would literally like do them behind Iain's name or Christopher's name because
Yeah.
I don't really care for people to know who I am, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I mean, I like got into the sport and stuff such a long time ago, so I kind of like whatever, quote unquote, built a name before any of my partners or current partner. Like I did it myself. But now, like being with Christopher, where a lot of people like refer to me as like C-Bum's girlfriend or whatever, and not like Courtney. I truly like I maybe if I was younger, like 24 or something, I would be bothered by that. Like,
You wouldn't. I don't think you would.
Really? Yeah, maybe I would. I don't care at all. Like being at the Olympia and not like being able in not doing it myself when something I used to do, or like going to his events and like being his little cheerleader on the side, like truly the best thing. Zero fucks do I give to be like known as something else. Like, yeah, I have a name, my name's Courtney, but I'm not like upset or anything when people say that. I just like truly love showing up and supporting Christopher and whatever he does, and it doesn't affect me. No.
I think a lot of these questions are obviously going to be based on like what people see and what they think is like reality. But I think what people don't understand is that when your like real relationships in your life are so strong and so good and so fulfilling.
Yeah.
These things like having followers or like being famous or having your name known, at least for me, literally mean nothing.
Yeah.
So like when I'm at Ian's show and I'm running around and tanning him until 2 a.m. and like not eating and like so stressed out, and so like that to me is like, and I'm seeing my husband like do what he loves and thrive, that means more to me than anything in the entire world.
I agree.
And like I what I realized honestly in 2021 when I was like supposed to compete and I didn't, and Iain did like 4 shows and we were just traveling around, and I was just like that is my calling. Like that's what I feel happiest doing.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what I'm best at. So there's no like missing piece, you know what I mean? Like everything is so full. It's just like I understand why people are asking, but like I guess the answer is like the cup's so full, like I don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Right there with you.
Would you only date a bodybuilder?
Oh my god.
I get this so much. And I don't know if it's because I'm so muscular too, you know what I mean? I would never date a bodybuilder. I would never date.
Never.
The only bodybuilder that I would ever even come close to is named Iain Valliere, and I would never, before or after him, I would have never gone for anything of the sort.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even in my last episode, I was like, I don't want to date a guy in fitness, bodybuilding, fitness, nothing, 0. Nope. Don't want it. And then whatever. But no, it would not be my first choice.
Oh, okay.
But that's not saying I don't love Christopher and his, body and all the things. It wouldn't be my first choice. No, it's not like, knock on wood, God forbid anything. Okay, we break up and then like, oh, am I getting let me go search for a bodybuilder. No.
Well, listen, you're right. You don't actually know who you're going to fall for or fall in love with. But I think you don't like find your person because of what they look like or what they do.
No.
It's literally because your souls like connect, and that's not tied to an occupation or a look or anything like that. And I think anyone who's searching for relationships that are based off of those like more surface level things are just going to end up in a surface level relationship.
Yeah.
Advice for prep living with my boyfriend while he's on. Oh, sorry. Advice for my boyfriend's first prep while I'm living with him.
So advice for him or her?
Her. She's living with her boyfriend.
Her.
And
Got it,
he's
got it.
on prep. And it's her. I'm assuming it's her first time either living with him for it or his first time prepping.
Okay. Do you want to go? You want me to go?
You go. Do you have experience like I know obviously with Christopher, but Christopher was like a long time professional by the time you were living with him
Yes.
and he was competing.
Yes. So I actually just had someone ask me this question this last weekend when I was in Tampa.
Uh-huh.
And what I said was, if you love this person, you're going to support what they want to do. I feel like you're in the wrong relationship if you can't support what your partner is doing, regardless of whatever it is. Okay. Number one. Number two is you have to understand that it's temporary. This isn't like a forever thing, and that it is temporary. So for the time being, make the most of it. Like this one this one girl was asking me, like, well, what do you do for date night? Or like, what do you do for, and I'm like, well, you can do other things than eat, right? Like you and Iain always go to the movies. You guys love the movies.
Yeah, we go to movies. We used to do mini putting a lot.
Yeah, bowling, mini. You could just do maybe an activity. There has been so many Olympias that have fallen on my birthday or like where Christopher's prepping. Like you too. Remember this year? Melissa's birthday.
I was literally going to kill somebody. I don't think I've ever been so, and it wasn't even Iain. It was like my parents. I was like, I actually don't matter. Like I actually felt like nobody loved me. That's how I felt.
Well, I love you, and it all worked out.
I know that, and it's so crazy because it's just a birthday. But like I actually felt like Joseph loved me. That's how I felt. Shout out to Joseph if you're listening.
Shout out to you, Joseph.
He came over with like a cake and like and he bought me presents. It was so cute.
Aww.
Okay, sorry, keep going.
No, yeah, but like
just triggered me a little bit.
I'm sorry. I love you. There has been so many like birthdays or Christopher and I's anniversary that have fallen around his prep or the Olympia. So like something that we've done is like we've had like anniversaries where or like a birthday where like we'll make like at home like bunless burgers with sweet potato fries. Remember all the times we did that too? You just like have like you just have to modify and adjust and understand that it's temporary, and you'll get to go enjoy your date night at your restaurant or whatever it is. But for the time being, support your partner, show up for them, because that is going to mean more than anything. And that's a true partnership right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously like the things like that do suck, especially when you're younger. Because I find, especially when I was younger, I like to go to the bar and I like to go have like wine and dress up and be seen with Iain and all that kind of stuff. And that is going to go away when they're prepping. And like Court said, like you can figure out other ways to spend quality time. And there's also other ways for you to go out to the bar or to nice dinners, because hopefully you have girlfriends or your mom or your sister or your brother. And honestly, when Ian's prepping and I'm not, I go out to dinner a lot more with like my family or my girlfriends, because I still do like to go out to dinner. But there is also a tough thing that happens when some people prep and they become a lot more emotionally distant. And that's hard, because even if you're making time to do those like date nights, mini putting, or going to the movies, or like at home dinners, sometimes your partner actually doesn't really like have energy or choose to have energy to show emotion and to make time for you and make time for your relationship to connect on that level. And it is temporary. And I struggled a lot with this with Ian's first prep when I actually wasn't living with him. I was still living at my parents' house, but I was spending a lot of time at his house, and he became a complete emotional zombie. We stopped having sex. We stopped cuddling. Like, it was just like I remember he would like make me breakfast every morning. And that was kind of his only way to show that he cared.
Yeah.
And that was like all good and well, but like I think after about 8 weeks I was kind of like, yo, like I'm like my emotional like tank, it's empty. Like there's nothing, and I can't deal with this. And he said the same thing. He's like, it's only temporary. Like once I'm done the show, it's fine. It's fine. And I do think if you know something's temporary, you can deal with it and you can be okay. But it becomes a bigger conversation when someone's going to be prepping every year, because it's easy to say like, oh, it's just during prep when I'm like this. But even if someone's doing a 12-week prep, that's like 33% of your year that you're now basically sacrificing your emotional needs because your partner is prepping for a bodybuilding show. So my advice would be to, especially if it's his first prep or his first prep living with you, to give him a lot of grace, because he's learning and you're learning. And I would kind of communicate after his show maybe what you need, and moving forward how you guys can be stronger together even during prep, because I don't really believe in the whole it's just short term during prep, so just like suck it up. Because people do usually do at least one show a year, and that's like a lot of your life for you to just be like sucking it up. I think your relationship should be something that makes you so happy and makes you feel so loved and so full, and like just like it's the most important special thing in your life. So I would just make sure that you figure out how to kind of work through the changes that happen in people during prep, because if like if Christopher can do it and if Iain can do it and they're competing at the highest level, like there's no excuse for anybody, really.
No, totally. And I think another thing, like you said, Mel, is like you got to communicate. You have to, you don't want to be resentful and let things build up. Like if you're needing like maybe some emotional validation, or like just like, hey babe, you want your partner to be like, hey babe, I see you, like, I love you, I'm here for you, or just a cuddle on the couch, whatever it is, just communicate that. Don't push your needs aside. Like, yeah, you're going to have to make sacrifices in some areas, like maybe going out all the time with your partner, or going on dates and whatever, but you can do that in other ways, with family, with friends, like Mel said. But being able to communicate, like, hey, I'm feeling this. Like, do you think we could maybe spend 15 minutes doing this together? Or I really appreciate when you do this, because I know right now you don't really have a lot to give, but like these little words mean so much to me. So just keeping it really open and clear.
Okay, well, I feel like that's enough,
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
Yeah, that was an hour, and it didn't really feel like an hour.
No, that was great. I
Okay,
love
well,
Q&As.
yeah,
So
I love
good.
Q&As, and I also love talking about love. So thank you guys for letting me do that. I think next time we film, we should kind of dive into a little bit of like girl chat. Like I said to you before, I kind of want to discuss birth control.
Ooh, let's do it.
Because I just got my IUD out, and fertility and all those like treatments and tests, not treatments, sorry, I'm not going through treatments, tests that I've been doing and stuff like that. So I feel like that'll be a fun way to like chat next week. What do you think?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that, because I don't know, there's something in me that kind of started to like panic a little bit. I'm like, I'm going to be 30 and like I'm not getting married until I'm 31, and then like when do kids come? And I know you're kind of at that age right now where you're like, all right, like what are we doing?
The biological clock is real, and you do start to feel a sense of extreme anxiety and panic.
Yeah.
You really do. And I'm sure it's intense for women, but men with female partners that are whatever turning 30 in their 30s, I'm sure they feel the same way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's next week. And thank you guys for listening once again. We're so happy. We still are so excited to be doing this. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.